Hello everyone, my name is Rina. Welcome back to this channel. Today's video is another entry to my video series I'm calling the Olfactory Library, where I share to everyone here on YouTube my love for fragrances. Now, if you're new here, thank you so much for spending time with me today. But if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for tuning back in. Now, I have 5 fragrances to talk about today for my Halloween perfumes. I just thought it would be fun to talk about these things, but take note, I live in Australia. Our Halloween here happens in the transitional season between spring and summer, unlike in the northern hemisphere, which it falls during autumn or fall time. Um, but I think these perfumes that I'm going to talk about today are still very much in theme, um, which I'm very much excited to talk about because, like I said, I just thought it would be fun to talk about these things. Let's talk about the first perfume that I have here, which I think might be an obvious choice if you have been watching my channel since its inception. This is Encens Suave by Matiere. Now, this is a really beautiful perfume, but it took me a while to get around, my head about what this perfume smells like and eventually falling in love with this perfume. It's a very incense heavy perfume. It's bordering churchy incensey. So it's quite dark, it's quite woody and a little bit smoky, but to me this is not really churchy incensey. I've smelled more incensey perfume or churchy incense perfumes from Amouage, but this is not it. And this is perfectly balanced by this beautiful creamy vanilla in the background. The vanilla is not overwhelming. The vanilla is not, taking the spotlight over incense. But it's so cool. Imagine a dark, foggy night in a haunted mansion. That is the image that comes to my mind whenever I smell this perfume. And oddly enough, the first time that I have smelled this perfume, and to this day, it still, I don't know, reminds me so much of my grandma's house. The old house that she used to live in. She used to live in this very old wooden house, like wooden walls, wooden support beams, and wood everything. And I guess because it was so old that her house had that musky, woody feel that almost smelled like this. But yeah, apart from the fact that this is sort of like very nostalgic to me, this is a really beautiful perfume and one of my most favorite perfumes of all time. It's very intriguing, dark, mysterious, sexy, and a very powerful perfume at that. Now let's go for something a little light-hearted, which is probably also one of my most favorite perfumes of all time, just because of how intriguingly beautiful and really gives you the story that it's trying to tell. This is Afternoon of a Faun from Etat Libre. Now, this is like, imagine walking through a slightly foggy rainforest that is still damp from, the rain from a couple of hours ago. You have these mossy trees surrounding you, and you have those beautiful, wild flowers in the forest floor surrounding you. This is like what I imagine an enchanted forest would look like. This is what I imagine, the forest from where Lord of the Rings take place, or that forest where the characters of A Wheel of Time grew up in. This is that forest to me. It's a whimsical fairy tale forest, and I think that's really beautiful, especially when you live in a country like Australia where Halloween happens during spring, late spring. This is a really great perfume for that. Let's go for another light-hearted perfume. For me, it is light-hearted, but it's definitely not light in any way. This is Libre Bleue from the House of Ormaie. Now, this I think would be a modern-day love story, a vampire romance, kind of like Twilight kind of ish perfume, because this is so dark, but this is so chocolatey, and it has this buttery iris that is going on in here as well, and it has this beautiful, mysterious, sort of like rough around the edges kind of leather note that is in here. That's not overpowering. It's not too punchy, but it's there, and it's like creates this mysteriousness. It creates this sexy aura to it. This is like the vampire lead meets the, you know, the love of his life in a club. Something like that. I know we've seen a movie something like that. The person that I could think of probably was uh, what's it called? From character from True Blood, when Skarsgård was playing this vampire that owns this. Was he in a club? I can't remember. It was so many years ago from True Blood. If you've seen that series, it was quite good. But anyways, I think you get the point. This is Alexander Skarsgård in that series, in a very cool, very, you know, commanding, bad boy, party going kind of like vampire character, and this is that perfume. It's so dark, it's so edgy, but at the same time it has a sweet chocolatey character in here, and beautiful, you know, a beautiful buttery iris that pulls everything together at the heart. Beautiful, beautiful perfume. Perfect, honestly, for, you know, Halloween parties in the northern hemisphere where it's cold, where it's chilly. But yeah, I mean, Australia is not too bad, you know. We have been having chilly nights here, even though it's late spring. So yeah, this is really, really nice. Next one is one of the most mind-blowing perfumes that I have ever smelled my entire life. This is China White from Nasomatto. I know, it's discontinued, but what can I do? This is such a perfect perfume to wear during, you know, Halloween. And I know you can still find it somewhere in the world. There are still stores that are selling this specific perfume, because I've seen a TikToker post about this perfume a couple of weeks ago. But even though this was discontinued a long time ago, but this perfume, oh my god, it was so weird in a way that I've never smelled anything like it, but at the same time it's very evocative, and it takes me to a place and a time. And first of all, this perfume is called China White. Apparently it's the street name for one of those. I don't know specifically which one, but one of those. And you definitely get that powdery effect that they're trying to do in this perfume. But there's something really cold and aloof about this perfume. Imagine, you know, one of those movie scenes where the character is surrounded by this super white padded walls in a mental institution. One of those isolation rooms that they would put the patients in to avoid hurting themselves, you know, in a straitjacket, padded walls, white walls. There's something so sterile about this perfume, so clean, so cold, so aloof, so, I don't know. But it's beautiful. It's really clean. It's powdery. It has a bit of floral in here, a little bit of spicy quality, just enough to give that interest and, you know, character, but not really, you know, a spicy powder perfume. No, it's nothing like that. It's just that hint of, you know, speckles of spices, but really beautiful perfume. If you can, one of the most interesting perfumes you will ever smell, I think, in my opinion. Oh, and by the way, if you can't find this, and if you really, really, really wanna, if you're really curious about what this perfume smells like, one of the perfumes that I have smelled in the last couple of months that smells sort of similar to this is Troye Sivan's perfume Luca. Was it Luca? Oh, no, I think it's this one, the TLY 5755. It has that kind of like powdery, clean, slightly aldehydic. It's very similar to this, but to me, the Troye Sivan perfume one, the Soulangear perfume one, for me is a lot spicier, a lot more heavy on the cardamom, which I still really, really love. It's not one-to-one dupe, but it's so close to this one. The last perfume that I'm going to talk about is a perfume that I'm not sure if I have ever spoken about here in this channel. Maybe I have. I can't remember. This is from L'Artisan Parfumeur, and this is 9 Arcana Rosa. This perfume, spicy rose perfume, a lot of people have compared this to apparently the original formulation of Rose 31 from Le Labo, which I have owned a bottle of Rose 31, but I'm just not sure if I have the original formulation or not, but I bought that years ago. But this perfume, I put this in here because it's a really interesting rose perfume. The roses here are so red, but it's not jammy. It's sort of like bordering geranium-ish. It has a kind of like minty greenish appeal to the roses, and this is sprinkled by very dark spices, but more on the black pepper. There's something about this perfume that smells really cold, really really chilly. It doesn't have that kind of like minty cooling effect to it. There's just something about this perfume that it smells almost very monotonous, that it's very like, imagine you're trapped in a glass kind of like feel with roses floating around you. It has a chilly effect. And that is the reason why I put this in here, because it's so interesting. This would be a really good perfume for anyone, you know, wearing vampire costume for Halloween. One of the least talked about rose perfumes in the market. It's a simple composition, but one of the most interesting interpretation of roses for me. That's Arcana Rosa from L'Artisan Parfumeur. And that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Thank you so much for continuously supporting this channel. As always, wherever you are, I hope you're staying safe, stay curious, and I'll see you on the next one.